Okay. Welcome everyone that's coming into the room. It's so good to have so many of you here. We're just going to give it another couple more minutes, and I do believe at 6:08 we'll get started, and then we'll get going. So we'll just wait for everyone to join. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope everyone's had a blessed day today. We're on Wednesday today, so we are nearly towards the end of the school year. So if there's any teachers on the line, that they'll be almost at the end of their tethers. And I'm sure there's a few parents out there that can't wait also till that magical time where they don't need to get the young people up early in the morning, pack them off to school, and have that dilemma of that and then dramatic. So great. What's the time? So give it another minute. And while you're coming in, and I'll definitely say, look, please, everyone, if you have any questions, we have a chat function. Please put them in the chat function as well. These sessions are being recorded. So if you know someone that isn't here that would love to be able to hear this information and get some knowledge and some tidbits, please, all the sessions that we've done so far, and this is number 3 that we've done, and they have all been virtual. They will all be on the Aim Higher website for your perusal at a later date. Please, again, these are information and workshops that we put on, not only for the adults, but also for the young people as well, to enable them to fulfill their hopes and dreams of going into whatever field they want to go into. Okay, so my name's Stuart Lawrence, and it's absolutely my pleasure to be here on our final and third and final webinar around Aim Higher and enabling our young black kids to achieve the destinations that we know they all can achieve. And I'm hopeful that these bits of information and these meetings that we have are going to enable us all to move the narrative on a bit further. Okay, so today's workshop is around creativity, around the term or the phrase being creative, and we are absolutely blessed and lucky to have an esteemed panel of members of people here today to be able to share their stories and their journeys of where they've been and how they've got to where they've got to in their lives already. So, without further ado, I'm going to say this wrong because I know I'm going to say this wrong because I'm not as prepped as I should be. I'm going to say okra. It is your time. No, I didn't say it right. Go on, please. Name and shame me. It's okay. Name and shame me. It's okay. Pronounce it properly for me, please, then.
So hi everyone, I'm Oga.
Okay, that's it.
Should I begin?
Yes, please. So please, as I said, the first thing is if just a bit of background information about yourself, about your journey from, I'd say, from school to now. What have you done? What have you found out? And what could you pass on to someone else, please?
So my name is Olga Anokwuru. I'm 22 years old and I work as a content reporter and entertainment producer for Bauer Media. Bauer Media look after some of the UK's biggest entertainment brands like Kiss FM, Heat Radio, Heat Magazine, Kerrang, a lot of radio stations. And I just started. I've been working here for a month. And my journey to it was basically when I was 17, I was part of an organisation called Interfilm, and that's where I met Natasha from. And Interfilm gave young people the opportunity to get into the film industry. So I was part of their young reporter scheme, and we would go to like red carpet events and premieres and film junkets to interview the stars and directors. And through doing that, before I wanted to get into acting, but through doing that, I was introduced to this world of media and presenting. And so I did that for 2 years. It was absolutely amazing. I got to go to the BAFTAs when I was 17. And then once I graduated from the scheme, I went to uni and I was continuing doing presenting and reporting and journalism in my student media. So I was during my student media station. I got to interview Lady Leisha at my university summer ball, Gemma Collins, if you know who that is. And then I got a job in my third year at my local television station as an intern, and I was doing presenting on screen and helping out filming, stuff like that. And then once I graduated, I got a job there as an assistant producer. But then this year, so I started that in August last year. But then this year, I was feeling very unhappy in the job. I knew something wasn't right. I moved up to Kent to live there, and I just wasn't connected to what I was doing. So I was very upset. So I quit, and I applied for this job at Bauer Media. And literally, like the day I quit, the week after I got this job. So yeah, that's me. So far, I've done the Fast and Furious press junkets, got to interview the cast of Fast and Furious, some Netflix junkets. I just came back from a screening, so I was a bit late today. But yeah, that's about a bit about me.
Awesome.
Okay, brilliant. Can I just say as well, for me, this is so common on lots of people's different journeys about how you presume or think that something is for you, and that's what it sounds like. You thought that maybe acting was for you, and then you sort of like came across and realised that maybe that wasn't your niche in the market.
Mhm.
So, what could you say to young people who may aspire to be something, and then what is, because that's for me what it is, isn't it? We all aspire to be something, but when we get to that destination, it's not always the outcome that we want it to be or expect it to be. And that's like, what do we do next? So would you inspire young people to go, do you know what, it's okay that I don't become the actor,
Mhm.
but it's okay for me to interview the actors? How do
Yeah.
you refocus that mindset?
I would say that's still something, to be honest with you, that I'm still trying to reconcile because I go to a lot of screenings and sometimes I'm like, oh, well, I wish I was on screen, or I'm talking to the actors, especially when they're my age, and I'm like, oh, I wish I was in your position. So I would say like if you're genuinely interested in it, definitely pursue it. I didn't personally pursue acting because I just fell into this world of presenting, and I've always said, well, if I do make it as a presenter, I can always like transition into acting if I wanted to. So I'd say definitely pursue it, but also explore other mediums, because I am glad that I didn't go to drama school, because not being funny, but just the truth is that a lot of my friends that went to drama school when the pandemic hit, they weren't faceted, so they couldn't enter the job market as fluidly as I did. So yeah, I'd say, yeah, I think that's how I would say it.
That's a brilliant piece of advice. Being multifaceted,
Mm-hmm.
always being ready and able to accept and to be able to enhance and to embrace the different opportunities that life sometimes throw at you. So thank you. Okay, we might come back to you a bit later on. Thank you. So Natasha, we're going to come to you next. Okay. So again, though, from school to now, what has the journey been like? What has been the high points, low points? If you could tell your younger self some sort of tidbits, what would they be?
That's a lot to unpack there, Stuart. Thank you so much. Evening, everyone. As Stuart said, I'm Natasha Preville, and I'll take you through my journey. Not obviously, my journey is like double the length of Ogo's. I'm double her age, but just to let you know, ultimately, today, presently, I'm an entrepreneur. I own two businesses, both of which are geared towards breaking down barriers to entry for young people and underrepresented getting into the creative industries. Living to see it be it principle, I'd like to think, and making sure we have those conversations much like these, some of which can be a bit uncomfortable, but the whole point is that we bring that reveal and we show you what's possible for what we can actually do, because this is lived experience we're mostly talking to you about today. So first and foremost, Oga, I just want to say I'm so proud of you. I'm like a proud mother. You're not my child, obviously, but I feel it's so heartwarming to hear your journey and to know when you talk about being multifaceted, how I also look at that is just somebody giving themselves the most choices, because ultimately the richest lives, and I'm not talking about riches in terms of money, but the riches in terms of feeling fulfillment comes from having choices. Having one choice isn't a choice. It's just a thing you have to do. But having multiple options open to you, not necessarily all at the same level, but just thinking about different options, that is one way to keep ahead of the game and have a contingency plan. But my life started off in South London, Hillbrook Primary School, still remember it to this day. Always been a curious child, really, borderline inquisitive stroke annoying. But I've always had that zest for people, life, talking and writing. So those are the things I always knew I could do at a very young age, and teachers would always push me in that direction. From that, my mum thought, journalist. or teacher, but basically she's thinking profession. I'm of the generation, and I don't know if Samantha is too, and maybe a little bit Stuart, but I'm of the generation where you got a profession if you look like me. So you went into being a lawyer, an accountant, you would go into medicine, finance, but something where you had numbers and names and letters after yourself. That didn't really appeal to me, so to speak. And I did okay at school. I didn't like to get in trouble, put it that way. So because I didn't like getting told, which has manifested into something else as I've become older, but because I didn't want to disappoint, so I did what I was told. But then I always realized that if you kind of did a little bit better than what you were told, I would. So I'm always used to overachieving or doing that little bit more, as just because it was just one of those natural instincts. Went through school, went through college, was starting to become quite interested in drama, was becoming quite interested in media, really loved to write, really had a vivid imagination, wasn't sure what that was doing, but what my mum did is she put me into extracurricular activities. So I went to ballet, I went to after school, I went to reading club, and she'd always buy all these books you can get from W.H. Smith to go and practice, because I didn't have any siblings. I grew up on my own till about 10, by which time I didn't really want any siblings after that, but hey ho. I got a sibling. But essentially, yeah, I'd write, I'd be in my own head a lot. And yeah, I was a really quite happy upbringing, quite close to my gran and the elders. So you had that very much older influence as well about working hard, being in touch with your moral compass, treat others as you'd want to be treated, that kind of thing. So I grew up with those kind of principles, and went to school, went to university, studied social sciences, again, very people orientated, very much into what makes people tick, and group dynamics. So if I didn't really do social sciences, I'd have probably done anthropology or something along those lines. And then I did a master's in social analysis, specializing in changing social identities. And the thing about that, I was always interested in how we get our identity, how we find value, how we find our place in the world. Do people ascribe us roles, or do we find it? Is it our passion? What is it that gets us where we are? But anyway, went on and did that, and then I got my first job. And the first person giving me a job actually was Jeremy Hunt, ex health secretary. So he used to run a company called Hot Courses back in the day, and he gave me, like, when you left uni back then, you went into like sales type roles generally. And they were always a million of them there for you. But that was great. That was great, breeding ground for me, because it helped me present, it helped me speak, it helped me articulate, it helped me storytell. And I go through that quite a bit in my presentation. So right up to present day, without talking too much, like I said, I'm an entrepreneur, working in two companies, pushing the boundaries and asking the questions about people that are looking like me, getting into the creative industries. But my last job on a PAYE was as a director of content at a company called Interfilm, which we were talking about earlier. And prior to that, working at the BBC as a group production manager, running, basically making promos for everything you saw going out on the BBC between 2017 and 15. So to really get to where I am now has been a great journey. Yes, I've had obstacles, but I try and take something from everything. So even the things you see as failure, I try and turn that into an opportunity. And I always remember my granny used to say, nothing that is meant for you will pass you by. And there's also no such thing as luck. So luck is merely preparedness meeting opportunity. And I was going to be that girl that stayed prepared. So when those opportunities came, I was more than willing to take them. But yeah, that's it from me for now. I hope that's enough. And I hope you get a bit of an insight into what I'm about.
Definitely, Natasha. Thank you so much. I love that saying about being prepared and ready for opportunities. And something else I'd like to sort of bring home as well, just remembering from my own childhood about the whole extracurricular activities. I remember going to Saturday school so many times and thinking to myself, why am I doing this? Why am I coming here when all my rest of my friends are socializing, enjoying themselves, and doing things that they wanted to do? And it's the hindsight of my parents and our parents that see these extra little things that can help add to us as individuals, as people, that can make us more rounded individuals, that enable us to be ready for any opportunities that then are presented to us at our feet at that time. So thank you for that, Natasha. Great insight, and we definitely will be coming back to touch on some of the other things that you've been doing and how you've been doing. So Samuel, It's your time to shine, my friend. You're up
Awesome.
next.
Hello, everyone.
Here we
Thank
go.
you for having me. So my name's Samuel Ade. I'm an entrepreneur. Started off my entrepreneurial journey quite young. So I'm not gonna share my whole journey, but I'll give you a brief insight into just what I've been doing since school. So I left school with no GCSEs, which as someone from a West African background, it was quite a shock to my parents to, realize that I had wasted essentially 5 years of school. So I was at the age where I started having to decide what I was going to do in college, and as a result of my GCSE qualifications, I was limited to in terms of what I could actually pursue. So the only thing that was available to me at that time was a GMVQ in business. So signed up for that, worked hard at it, and that enabled me to do the qualification I initially wanted to do, which was art and design. So got into that, worked extremely hard, and as a result of that, that now allowed me to do a level 3 qualification. But whilst I was in the process of studying art and design at college, I got connected with the 198 Contemporary Arts and Learning in Herne Hill. So in my spare time, I was learning creative courses in Photoshop and Illustrator, as well as like photography skills. So essentially doing this alongside studying, then decided to take a gap year as a result of actually being involved in a lot of the things that were happening at the gallery. I was able to set up a social enterprise called Hustlebox, which is a youth-led social enterprise to train young people in garment printing and clothing. So we started this in 2009. By 2010, we launched our pop-up shop in collaboration with Central St. Martin's, which is a world-renowned university based in central London. That led on to me doing my short course there. So got to study a degree at Central St. Martin's whilst also running a social enterprise. So what started off as a pop-up shop turned into us staying in the space for 6 years. So we had a shop in Brixton Village, where we allowed individuals as well as organizations in the local community to come get their garments printed, as well as shop with local brands and buy stuff from our brand. And yeah, as a result of the success of it, it led to me speaking all across the UK, some speaking engagements internationally as well. And yeah, basically, so I was just running that, working with various organizations over the period of about 6, 7 years. Ended up joining the board of 198 Contemporary Arts and Learning as well, and I was the youngest person to join the board. So got to oversee Hustlebucks, the social enterprise from that perspective. So 198 is a multi-purpose space based in Herne Hill. They're a gallery space as well as a space where young people can learn creative courses, and then they have the social arm as well. So about 3, 4 years ago, I identified a gap in the market where essentially we're developing our space 2 floors upwards. And I identified that as creatives and entrepreneurs, it's very difficult for them to access space like 198. So I set up a company called Desk, spelled with a C instead of a K. And that's an acronym. It stands for Developing Entrepreneurial Services and Communities. And the idea behind it was essentially it would be a marketplace for entrepreneurs to find co-working space locally, quickly, and affordably. So I was running that, and then obviously the pandemic happened last year, and as a result of that, no one's accessing space anymore. So decided to launch e-commerce store. Well, it's a luxury e-commerce store for Black-owned fashion brands and a platform for fashion designers. And so we launched that in November last year, and it's called Alana. So the idea is, from a consumer perspective, you can shop with luxury Black brands that we have in the store. So we have 3 at the moment. 2 of them are based in Ghana, 1 of them based in Nigeria. And then as a fashion designer, you can join our community and gain expertise for free via the platform. So you can upload images of your sketches, your patterns, your toes, as well as your collection, and get feedback on each stage of that development process. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell. So yeah.
Samuel, for someone that didn't leave school with any GCSEs, brother man, you've done amazing.
Thank you.
And again, this is what I say to young people as well. The prescriptiveness of what we've been told of, the way to do it from A to B, so from GCSEs to A levels to degree to get a job, that may not be your journey. But
Absolutely. Yeah.
Samuel, from what I can take from you is that the determination, the level of focus of what you wanted to achieve for yourself was what has perpetuated you, enabled you to move through the stages and to get to the platform that you are. And I want to say for myself, just from the bits and pieces I've heard you speak about and some stuff I've seen for myself online and stuff, doing amazing stuff. And as I said, we'll talk and connect in a different way a little bit later on about that sort of thing.
Definitely.
But again, that for me is so important to tell our young people, though, is that it's not always that simpleness of the journey is simple. Sometimes the rocky road, the bumps in the road, enable you to be the more focused and dedicated and dynamic individual as an adult that you will never expect yourself to be if you didn't go through those experiences. And that, again, so like I said, that's such a true message to tell our young people. Like, it's not always easy, it's not always simple, but with hard work, determination, and focus, you can definitely get to that mountaintop. You can definitely get to that mountaintop. So thank you, Samuel, for sharing. I really do appreciate that. And not last but not by my least, my good friend Miss Samantha, if you could come and share some of your own personal journey of where you've been and what some of the stuff that you've been up to get to where you are today as well. Thank you.
Hi everyone. The picture is really bad from where I'm sitting. I'm looking at myself. It's really blurry, so apologies if you can't see me properly. Hopefully you can hear me. I feel like the small child in the room listening to all of you. Yeah, like my background's really, really different. I grew up in Barbados. I went to school there until the age of 9. Sorry, I went to Barbados at the age of 9 and came here when I was 18 with a very clear idea of wanting to work in the media and wanting to be a journalist. And it was very difficult breaking into that industry. I mean, I did it really successfully and did really, really well, but felt that I wasn't quite comfortable in that space. I felt that who I was and what I brought to the table wasn't always welcome. And I wrestled with that for most of my career in television. And I compromised a lot to kind of, I suppose, climb the ladder, that career ladder. And all of that compromising over time kind of built a lot of resentment in me. Because I was very much focused on the top and trying to do the right thing. And I think that one of the things that's really coming through here is
Samantha, you've just muted yourself.
That happened. Yeah, what I was saying was, you know, whilst I was on paper living the dream, working in this like amazing environment, making documentaries for Channel 4, BBC, doing the right thing by the family or, you know, by myself, you know, it just, something just didn't feel right. And I think the message that's coming through here today amongst all of us is you're allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to do something different. You're allowed to jump off one train and jump on another. And I think that that's really important. And I think also that comes with time. I think when you're a younger person, you maybe don't have that conviction yet. I mean, obviously, some of you in the room, like Ogo, obviously had that conviction from day one. But, you know, I think maybe that generation are different from us, perhaps a little bit. I did follow that conventional route of believing that I had to climb the ladder to get to the top and, you know, felt like I had to do that. And like I said, I just wasn't very happy working in a space. And I think now I realize that I just wanted to be my own boss. And I didn't realize that I wanted to be the one making the decisions. And I think when you're working in these big teams and in sort of media spaces, if you are someone who is quite purposeful and you're an activist and you're trying to right the many wrongs, when you're in a space where you're not really allowed to speak, you know, you're allowed to speak, but you know what I mean, you're not allowed to speak the truth, you kind of internalize this pressure and this all the time, and because you've got that eye on the prize of getting to the top. So after becoming a mother of 3 young children and trying to navigate motherhood and this amazing shiny media career, I just decided enough was enough. And when my children entered education, I could see that, entered primary school and nursery, I could see that a lot of the issues that I was facing as a grown-up, wanting to speak up about my culture, my background, my duality, my Caribbeanness, my Blackness, it wasn't encouraged in the media space. And then when my children were entering into school and nursery and primary, I could see a lot of what they were bringing home, their learning resources, the books did not reflect the multicultural world in which I lived, that being my family. And that's really how Book Love started. So I am now a bookseller and also an activist. So I have an online platform where a shop. Actually, we're called Book Love, the Multicultural Traveling Book Carnival. It's a bit of a mouthful, but the reason is because we travel around the country with a whole range of multicultural books. And by multicultural books, what I mean is books that celebrate and highlight people of colour. The main characters are Black or brown, the authors, some are not Black or brown, some are white, but they are writing about people of colour. The main thing is about representation. So all the books that we sell are shouting about and promoting and amplifying Black and brown voices, because that's something I try to do in television. Like I said, I wrestled with it. I wasn't really given the space to do that. And as I grew up and became a grown-up, that passion in me was not going away. So I decided to leave that industry and jump into publishing, which is even worse. But this time I'm my own boss, so I can do what I want and I can make noise, I can challenge and I can push back. And so the message to the young people watching is always try to find your voice, always try to believe in yourself. If you feel discouraged, find an ally, find a friend, find a mentor. Mentorship is very, very important. And I think that every adult should be a mentor to somebody. And I've always said if I were a prime minister one day, I would give tax breaks to adults who were mentors, because every young person needs someone to hold their hand to walk through life. And I wish I'd realized that a lot younger. And I think that we as a Black and brown community really need to harness that. We need to all find at least one or two young people whose hands we hold and take them through life, because other communities do that so well. And that's something I really want to think about a bit more. So that's me. Have a look at the website. This is booklove.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Samantha. I'm so with you on that point about mentorship. Now, looking back over my own life, I've realised that there have been so many people who've mentored me and enabled me to be in the position that I am in today. And that's why, again, I make sure that I do that in my own life. And that started through me doing teaching, and now that's manifested itself in a whole different way. And I think you're right as well about saying how if we, as adults, every adult should have at least one young person that they're enabling to help through that next hoop of life. Because again, I think that's what we've gone wrong a little bit as a community. I do feel like we haven't been the best about passing that information on to and passing the baton on to that next generation. And
I don't think it's too late. And I really think that there's some powerful people of colour in this country right now who are doing some amazing work. And somehow we all need to come together and really openly say, right, I know there are a lot of organisations already doing it, so I know that, but I don't know. I just think it needs a little bit more thought and organisation. But there are a lot of micro groups doing it, but I feel like it needs to be a bit more macro, but a bit more.
Definitely. People. Yeah, definitely. And it's almost like that umbrella approach, isn't it? I've been saying this recently about not trying to always recreate a new brand new wheel. Every time someone has an idea about, I want to do this, and then them going off and starting brand new fresh, where the question should be, who else? I've got this idea. Is there anyone else really doing this idea? And can I piggy bank, or can I work alongside? Can I collaborate with this person to enable what I could foresee as an idea or a way of doing something to come in fruition? So that's something that we definitely, and this is what we hope we do here. with Aim High. We're hoping to be that focal point for Lambeth especially, but then for the whole wider of London as well, because the Aim High initiative isn't just for London, for Lambeth, it's for the whole of London, about raising aspirations and achievement of all Black, young Caribbean and African young people of all the London boroughs. So I do think there needs to be more of a helicopter approach as well. Samuel, come in, brother.
Yeah, I think just to add to that, I think no matter what stage you are in life, it's important to have a mentor. Do you know what I mean? The way that I put it is that as people that are, you know, successful, it's good to have three tiers in our lives. Do you know what I mean? People that we look up to, people that are on the same level as us, and people that we're pouring into. So the reality is that no matter what stage you are in life, it's always good that you have people that you can glean wisdom from. Do you understand? The most successful people have people they're accountable to, people that they look to as mentors. So, you know, and they have various mentors. So I think no matter what stage we are in life, it's always good for us to have people that we can, do you know what I mean, look to as inspiration and gain wisdom from.
100%, Sam. I'm going to coin that and nick that little phrase about pouring into the same level as and someone that we look up to. I think that's a great analogy, a way to look at it. So I'm going to coin and take that one from you and then pass that on to others as well. So, okay, cool. So I'm now going to say, because with all these scenes always, I like to hear from the people that we're speaking to as well. If anyone's got any questions, there is a chat function. Nadia, I can ask you some help and guidance on that as well, please. So if there is anyone that has any questions, please pop your hand up. There's a hand raising function we have on this system as well, where you can raise your hand and then maybe come and ask your question in person. If you're not brave enough and you don't want to do that, you just want to put it in the chat bar, please do that as well. But I have a question that I'd love to ask Samuel. Samuel, so for me, it's this whole idea when people say, no, you can't. I'm sure around your time, Samuel, you've had someone that said, no, you can't, Samuel, or it's not able to, Samuel. How do we encourage our young people to see this as not as a blocker, but as just maybe the start of something?
I kind of see it as every pushback is an opportunity for a comeback. You know, the reality is that it's a situation where, do you know what I mean? You will always get no's. You will always get people doubting what you can achieve or where you will go in life. Do you know what I mean? From very early on, I had teachers doubting me. I had, you know, even when I left school with no GCSEs, the career advisors at the time were saying it's going to roughly take 4 years to get to uni. And in the back of my mind, I was like, no, that's too long. Do you know what I mean? Like, the reality is that I'm going to do it my way and get to university a lot quicker. You know, and what should have been a 4-year journey as a result of hard work and dedication became a 3-year journey. So it's a situation where there will always be people that are doubting you along the way, but every pushback is an opportunity for a comeback, and it's an opportunity for you to prove that actually, you know, you bring something to the table, you contribute something. So yeah, just kind of keep going. Do you know what I mean? Not everyone will get your vision, but in the process of you actually implementing it and actually doing what you feel called to do, people will get it and people will support you.
100%, Sam. And I spoke to, it's really quite weird because I spoke to UCL yesterday or the day before yesterday, Monday or Tuesday. And I spoke to Slade, you know, the fine arts movement inside there, and again, it's this whole topic and conversation around equality, diversity. How do we make sure the room represents the nations that we represent rather than the finite that are able to find the way through that hole and through that hoop? And for me, I always said to them, it's about the flavour of ice cream, isn't it? For me, your flavour of ice cream may not be for everyone else's flavour.
Definitely.
And it's about how you then perpetuate that and change people's minds and give them a little taste of what you're about. And hopefully over time, bring people on board about what you're about, the way that you see things. And that's the whole thing about being in the creative industry that I found out for myself, being in part of that whole sort of thing. It's very prescriptive about people's mindset and the way that they see things, and
Absolutely.
how that perspective all of a sudden becomes the only way if your voice isn't big enough, strong enough, deep enough, rich enough to be able to change and shape hearts and minds to something else.
And the reality is that, especially as a Black entrepreneur, I'm mindful that the spaces that I'm in and the way I navigate those spaces determine those that come after me. So the reality is that
100%.
because, do you know what I mean? Because I'm quite new in the spaces that I'm in, the reality is that in order for me to change perspectives, I have to be very mindful of the way that I conduct myself, because it will determine whether people coming after me will gain access to those same opportunities. So the reality is that, you know, we just need to be mindful that for every door that we kick down, there are, do you know what I mean, various people that are going to be able to walk through that door. So it's just about staying persistent, you know, determined, and ensuring that, do you know what I mean, you stay true to what you're trying to achieve.
100%. Natasha, I'd love to come to you next now, and for me, it's the elder of white of the elders that I want to reference point and bring you back in on now as well, because again, as my mindset as a teacher, I'm always wise and wonderful to understand that young people don't always see things from an old perspective or that hindsight perspective that we have as adults. What could you say? What piece of gems could you drop that could enable a young person to go, do you know what? Rather than me all going, oh, they're old and cruddy. Like, what do they know? That's not their life. This is me. This is something new and fresh. What could we say to enable them to be able to have an insight to go, do you know what? Let me listen. Let me hear. Let me absorb and work out how that reflects and affects me today in this modern society.
First and foremost, I know that saying too well. They probably don't even use that much now, but that whole saying where they said wisdom's wasted on the young, for the simple fact that you don't appreciate those words until you're a lot older. But I just say, trust your instincts. Now, you have to be quite attuned. You have to know yourself. You need to, what I'll say to young people is, the first thing is know yourself. And if you don't know yourself, get to know yourself. Not somebody else, not your peers, yourself. Stay in your lane. Don't compare yourself to others. That's when you're going to go wrong. You're going to go right off the rails. There will always be people better than you. There will always be people that seem more prepared than you. But forget all that. You be in your own lane, in your own competition, because you're the only person to compete against. And as long as you're looking at yourself, you can have it all. People say, Natasha, can you have it all? Can you have it all? Can you have it all? I say, yes. It's conditional though. You can only have all of what only you control. If all that you want are things that you yourself control, of course you can have it all. You can have it all. You know, it's only when other people come into the equation, and we all know what examples those are. But you know, anything's just to do with you is you. And what I'd also say is, from the very beginning, from the get-go, you are enough. Yeah. A lot of the times we look at each other or we look at ourselves and the world, and it tells us we're not enough.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, you get to the interview, the goalposts change. You get the job and you exceed in every area, but yet there's still something else you need to do that you're not quite getting right, but somebody else can walk along in there, breeze through, make how many mistakes, and no one's even calling it anything. So we all have these various different lived experiences, but something that comes is imposter syndrome, that feeling that you're not supposed to be there, the feeling that someone's going to catch you out, the feeling that, this is too big. It's not too big. And I think the quicker you harness that, even where I am now, when you achieve your dreams and you live your dreams, you sometimes it kind of can make you wobble a bit, because you're like, oh my gosh, what now? But that's what dreams are for. Dreams are to be reached. It's a circle of dreaming. You reach your dreams, you make new dreams. You reach those dreams, you make new dreams. You make those dreams, and that is how I always teach my children. It's not just, dreams aren't finite. They're just, it's perpetual. So you keep that mindset, and you'll constantly have a growth mindset. You stay in your lane and concentrate on your skills. You concentrate on what you enjoy doing when you're not watching the time, when you're not watching the clock. Things that come naturally to you. Pay attention to them. What do people come to you for advice? What do people say you're really good at? Pay attention to that. Be aware. Don't get caught up in the noise of social media, new life, who's doing what, with who and where. Forget all that. Stay in your lane, stay focused, believe in yourself, believe that you can do it, and you are enough. Work for me.
Thank you, Natasha. Samantha, you had something to add?
Yeah, if I can just jump in, I totally echo what Natasha's saying, but I'm a bit concerned about like the role that social media plays in all of this, especially Instagram. If we get one like, we're not happy. We want 1,000 likes, or we want 500 likes. And as grown-ups, we're able to navigate that space a little bit. We still might feel a little bit like, oh, why didn't anyone like that book I posted or whatever? But I think with young people especially, I feel I'm really worried about 12-year-olds, 15-year-olds 18-year-olds who are looking to how many likes to validate themselves. And I really want to see more people talking and writing about that, Stuart. I mean, I know you've written your book, Silence is Not an Option, and Marcus Rashford's book as well, which is You Are Your Best Self, You Are Your Champion, which is saying the same about not comparing yourself, stay in your lane. He very much talks about that. But how do we, I don't know if any young people are in the room who can answer this, or any parents and carers, you know, how do we drive that message home when young people are on their phones all the time looking for validation? It's so concerning.
I think,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. Go on, Samuel. Sorry, go on, Samuel.
I think it starts from what we're telling them. Do you know what I mean? I think it's the conversations we're having with them personally. And that's why even what you alluded to earlier about mentorship is so important, because they need to be, do you know what I mean? It's the voice that sounds the loudest in their lives that they're going to listen to. So if social media is the loudest voice in their life, then they're going to obviously look to that as the inspiration or what they should be following. But the reality is that we should ensure that the voice that we have and that we present to them are the loudest. So that's why it's important that whatever we're telling them, that we're constantly reaffirming them, that we're encouraging them, that we're uplifting them, that we're building them. You know, I said to myself that even with my Instagram page, I want it to be in such a way that whoever comes across it finds hope to keep going. Do you understand? Like, and that's an intentional thing. That's one of the reasons why, you know, even in this day and age, there's a trend about deleting all your old posts and just kind of showing the highlight to show that the journey was a lot shorter than it actually was. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that, because I want people to see that there was a journey. There's a track record.
100%.
It wasn't overnight. Do you understand? So it's a situation where I think we have to be the loudest voice in the lives of the young people that we're leading and guiding and coming alongside. You know, because if we don't, then they'll look to social media, they'll look to their friends, they'll look to various other kind of outlets to get the affirmation that they're looking for.
Definitely, and that's one thing I definitely would encourage all the adults to try and change the settings on their young people's phones, because Instagram, Twitter, all these social media sites now have started to take away. So you can see how many people have liked your post. So you can see how many people have commented on your post. So just that taking those away. And I always say to people as well about, you never see no one's full journey on Instagram.
Yeah.
You never see them wake up the road in the morning looking dusty, no makeup on,
Yeah, of course.
haggard, you know, from the night before. Everyone shows their best self.
Of
That's the
course.
thing that young people don't seem to understand, that it is only the best of us that Instagram will show. It's only the best of us that these social media platforms will show. So yeah, it's really important that for us to highlight and explain that to our young people, that that's what's going on. And I really try to my own personal channels to try and make sure to show the good, bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
You know, and then to show if I'm having a bad day, still post. If I'm having the best day in the world, still post. Like, just to show that there's consistency. And I say to young people all the time that life's nothing but a circle. There's going to be up points, but there's also some points where it doesn't feel quite up, and it feels like it's going to hit the ground, and it hits the ground, and you're at the bottom again. But no, once you've hit the bottom, there's only one way that you can go back up in,
Yeah.
which is back around and all the way back up to the top again. And that life's like that. It's not continuously of, you know, rockets that go up into the sky and fireworks and all this amazingness. It's not always like that. None of us. And Ogo, if you can even sort of like, again, so even from your own personal journey, some of the experiences about that sort of like success for failure, success. What have you learned in that whole process of, you know, experiencing failure and having success? What could you share about that, for instance, with the young people for us?
I think on the topic of failure, I watched something last year on Netflix called Losers, and it's a sports documentary. And I'm not into sports at all, but honestly, it was the best thing I've watched. And I can't remember how many episodes. I think there's 8 episodes, and it details 8 different sportsmen and women. And I kid you not, as soon as I finished that series, I was like, do you know what? I am not scared to fail anymore, because these people failed whether it's in their career, their personal lives, they've hit rock bottom, but yet they still reach their purpose and where they are supposed to be. So then, literally, like, I remember sitting in my living room and thinking, I'm not scared to fail anymore, because it can reroute you. So yeah, that is life changing. I recommend it. Losers, parents, check it out, and if you think it's super big.
Brilliant.
show
I
it.
know the program you're talking about,
So
and
good.
for
And then,
me,
oh,
the best one was the golf one. I'm not going to
yeah,
do no spoilers, but the
yeah,
golf one was the
yeah,
best one of how something can be seen as so solidified, so there,
yeah,
and such be on such a public
yeah,
stage as
yeah,
well, and to
very-
go through that experience, and then to come out the other end and still,
yeah.
like you said, go on your journey, still reach your goals, still reach your full potential.
I will say on that, I was so moved by it that I messaged the director on Instagram. I
Oh
sent him
wow!
a note saying, "This was the best thing I've ever watched." And then we kept in contact, and then I ended up interviewing him because I was like, "Can I interview my YouTube channel?" And then through starting that series, I think that's one of the reasons why I got this job, because I like showed initiative, started my own series, and
Oh,
yeah,
brilliant.
so
And that's
Brilliant, Olga. That's a brilliant story. I love that. Go on, Samuel.
and that's the beauty of sharing our journey, because it allows young people to know that there's beauty in the process.
mhm,
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think, with social media, there is more emphasis on the finished product, on actually arriving at a particular point. But by, being honest and transparent about our journeys, it gives people the understanding and awareness that there's actually beauty to the process. And the process is just as important as the final destination. Do you know what I mean? The process enables us to be able to sustain the success. So just in sharing that journey and sharing our journeys, we're able to encourage young people to say, okay, keep going. Do you know what I mean? And keep at it.
Definitely. I love that. Definitely. Colin, Nadia's got her hand up. Okay, Nadia, go. Let's go.
Hi, it's just a couple of questions that we have missed out. So the first one's from Andrea. She asks, what is the single most important type of support that helped you in your journey? I'm guessing mentorship will come up in that answer for some of you. There's also a lot of kind of positive feedback from what you guys have said. I think literally everyone's buzzing and taking a piece of motivational, sound bites away with them. My question is, how do you persuade parents that there's a career in creative industries? Because I still think that there is that kind of, I think, Natasha, you mentioned it about professions and how you have to go into certain professions, and how, especially post-COVID, there might be a reluctance for, young people to take that risk, or what they perceive to be a risk, and go towards creative industries. Yeah, so that's that. Thank you.
No, thank you, Nadia. And that's also I would like to say. So I've met two brilliant individuals on a photography competition. One of them was a microbiologist who got a first from St Anne's. The other was a mechanical engineer who had only, and both of them had only done these courses because of the peer pressure from their parents of the expectation of being creative, going into this industry wasn't seen as a recognized as a viable way to make money. And as an adult now know that the multimedia industry is £1 billion industry in this country. So therefore, for us not to be able to access and able to show our access to our young people of a viable outcome of a life is really sheltered. So as parents and as adults, we need to be wise enough to know and understand that sometimes the traditional industries that we say to our kids, you have to be a doctor, you have to be a lawyer, you have to be an architect, you have like these are the only professions. I think we again as adults, we just need to be a bit wiser to understand that there now are new modern day professions that we can allow our young people to access and to get into to be successful and to make lives out of. Okay, go ahead.
I would say, as parents, I would say voice that as much as you can, because growing up, I mean, it wasn't never explicitly said to me, oh, you have to be a doctor, you have to do this. But the environment, I'm Nigerian and I grew up in a Nigerian household. And so that narrative was already instilled within me. Like, my sister did medicine at university. So I just thought, okay, I had to do these traditional subjects. It wasn't made clear to me that, oh, no, you could do whatever you want. But then because I assumed it, I didn't, when I went to my A levels, my degree, I didn't pursue the art, and so I had to eventually drop out of my first university, and I was so miserable, so depressed, and I called my parents. I was like, I hate this, and they was like, come, and then they let me study drama at uni. Then I made the mistake of assuming it, but then they didn't shout it out loud that, oh, you can do whatever you want. So I would say, like, parents, like, be open in that support for your children in terms of letting them do whatever they study, whatever they want to study.
But I think I get it. Do you know what I mean? I think obviously like our parents are from a different generation. So there is, you know, a perception that, you know, the traditional method is more stable. Do you know what I mean? So obviously for them, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, YouTube, being a YouTuber, what is that? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, I wanna dedicate my life to YouTube and doing videos. It doesn't seem like a conventional route to actually lead to success. So for them, it's still new. Do you know what I mean? And I think obviously one of the things that I will say is that the reality is that even the World Economic Forum are saying by the year 2030, the majority of jobs that we see available now are no longer going to be existent.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be, do you know what I mean? It's going to be taken over by automation. So the reality is they're predicting by at least 750 million by the year 2030 are going to be out of work. So we need to be looking at new methods and new ways of actually, do you know what I mean, ensuring that we are valued, do you know what I mean, and that we're actually in a position where when that time comes, we still have a job and we still have a career and still have something that we're working on.
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead, Samantha.
I'm just going to say goodbye because I have to leave and sort dinner out and stuff.
No worries.
That's the reality. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Samantha, for your time.
I'd love to get everyone's social media. I think I've already connected with Samuel. Someone's replying. It might not be you. It might be someone.
No, it's no, I've responded.
Oh, yeah, you. Okay, I know some of us have managed our social media for us. But I'd love to connect with all of you on social media, if that's all right. Because I'd love I'd love to carry on this conversation.
Awesome. Nice meeting you.
Great to see you again.
And check out the website if you need any books. Stay off Amazon. Stay off.
All right, take care.
See you later. Bye.
Definitely. Thank you, Samantha. See you
You're
later.
welcome. Bye.
Yeah, and as we wrap up, guys, I think that's again the most important part of all this, because for me, this is a conversation. This is a way for us to enable to connect with one another and to be able to share and to divulge and to give out those little tidbits that can help our young people to become the best versions of themselves, and to know and understand that everyone's journey is their own personal journey, and that as much as we love to prescribe and say, you go through hoop number 1 and you jump over hoop number 2 and then number 3 and number 4, and that's the perpetuation of motion. Sometimes that's not the same for everyone, and if you do, stumble over hoop number 3, it isn't the be and end all of life. As long as you pick yourself up, dust yourself down, and then refocus on the initiatives, the ideas of where you want to go next and what you want to do next. So for me, that's really important to tell people and to say as well, because we all have challenges, we all have issues and problems that we will face and have to deal with, and those issues and problems will be different for everyone. So yeah, that's something I definitely would like to pass on. So please, let's all stay connected, because again, it goes back to that whole village mentality, doesn't it? It's not one person bringing up all these young individuals. It's us as a collective, together as a village, as a collective, that will enable all our young people to be great going forward. So yeah, that's definitely, I'd love to be able to leave that with everyone today as well. I'm going to pass over to Nadia to do a few more housekeeping things before we go, because I know the time's starting to run out as well.
Okay, sure. I'm not sure what exactly I meant to do, but yeah, thank you everyone for coming. It's been really, really, again, another event that's been fantastic. The panel, thank you so much. You've been absolutely amazing. Honestly, I'm inspired. I want to go back and I want to do it all over again. Fortunately, I can't. But thank you so much. And it has been recorded, and those who weren't able to come, whether it's the football or anything else, we'll send it to them so they can benefit also. Thank you very much, Stuart, for your hosting once again. Thank you, Andrea. Andrea, do you have anything that you'd like to say?
Just thank you, everyone. Keep being a part of the conversation. Lots is happening across Lambeth, and I'm just really, really grateful for all of your participation. We are connecting within Lambeth, Pan London, and beyond. So please keep working with us, and have those difficult conversations, and let's get our children in industries, man. Thank you, everyone.